Hi guys, Simon85 here. Today we're going to be looking at light tanks and spotting mechanics for armoured warfare. Now, I've heard a few people discuss about the differences between AFVs and light tanks and where each particular class fits in. So I'm hoping we can clear that up today and give you a good example of how light tanks should be used. Now, there's no set precedent. It's not like the light tanks start at tier 1 and then get progressively better and faster. There's a variation, which is fine. It's just, it feels a little bit awkward at times trying to figure out exactly where they belong. Now, the tier 1 PT-76 to me doesn't feel like a light tank. Reason being, its max speed is only 36 kilometers an hour and it takes 4.15 seconds to get there. So that's not particularly quick. Its camouflage is okay, its vision range is reasonable. Now they're the main things that we're going to be focusing on with light tanks and spotting mechanics today. I will go over a few other things as well, like the damage and the different ammo types which can help against more armoured targets like the heavy tanks. Now light tanks, as opposed to AFVs for instance, do have better guns. Their penetration, their damage and their firing rate tends to be a lot better. Their vision range doesn't tend to be as good, and some of them are not as fast as the AFVs, but the AFV's role is primarily scout. Light tanks, they can double up as scouts, but they're a little bit more, and we'll go over this. Now, like I say, the PT-76 is a starter tank. It's okay. The M41, the tier 2, for instance, max speed 72 kilometers an hour. Now that is a massive improvement and it does it much faster. Now that is a lot of speed to have, and the tank is heavy enough and it's tracked so that you've got enough control over it without spinning everywhere, which is the other difference with AFVs, which tend to be wheeled and they can be hard to control because of this. The other thing to bear in mind is because light tanks are tracked, your tracks can get shot off and you can get stuck out in the open. That is something you really need to avoid because you have no armour. Well, I say no armour, you have very little armour generally speaking, and medium and heavy tanks will go straight through you, and that is one thing you really want to avoid. Now if we have a look at one of my personal favourites, the Sheridan, which is a tier 4 light tank. Maximum speed 70 kilometers an hour, however it takes 5 seconds to get up to 32 kilometers an hour, which isn't fast acceleration. Once it gets there, it's very nice. The other thing I will cover in game as well is the active ability that light tanks have, which is a speed boost. Now this is very handy for accelerating on slow tanks like the Sheridan, or increasing your max speed to get out of dodge pretty quickly, which is what you're trying to do with a light tank. Is you sort of want to pop up unannounced, get a few shots in and disappear before anyone even realizes what's going on. That is what they're good at. Now briefly, what we'll do before we jump into game and have a look at the actual mechanics for how to use light tanks and spotting, because spotting is very, very important, and especially if you're trying to use a light tank for the lightning tactic that I just described, to pop up, say hi, get a few shots in and disappear. You need to be very aware of spotting mechanics. But before that, just in case you're not aware of the different ammo types, I'll quickly cover that while we're here. Now, generally speaking, most tanks have 3 types of ammo, which are conveniently colour coded if you actually forget. You have AP, which is armour piercing, which is the standard sort of round that you want to use for main battle tanks, mainly your medium and heavy tanks. That's going to do the most damage and the most chance of penetration because the AP rounds have the highest penetration. Heat rounds, which is basically a high explosive anti-tank round. It has medium penetration in a roundabout sort of way. They don't generally penetrate as easily as AP rounds. They do, however, tend to do more damage against targets like the AFVs and light tanks. There is another mechanic that we could go over which was taken out of the game. Basically you had things like over penetration and overmatch, but let's not get too complex at the minute. We'll keep this simple. And the last type is generally HE, which is high explosive. No penetration and very little damage compared to the other two rounds. However, one thing that HE is good at is damaging modules. So for instance, if you've got a fast vehicle like an AFV or a light tank that you're thinking, well, if I could shoot his tracks out and he's stuck out in the open, he's going to have a bad day. So blast a HE round, you take out a few modules at a time, generally speaking. The other thing HE can be used for is if you do come across a target that you can't penetrate with your normal AP rounds, you can be a nuisance with HE. If you're up against a heavy battle tank, for instance like the T-54, which has a mass amount of armour, just fire a few HE rounds at it. It's not going to do a lot of damage, but it's annoying for the tank. And that guy is going to be sitting there going, I really wish this guy would stop damaging my modules and being a nuisance. There is another round as well, which I feel I should cover because some people don't quite know how they work when they first start playing, and there isn't actually anything of a tutorial in the game to explain how ATGMs work. Now, ATGMs are anti-tank guided missiles. Also, the type of round that they are is a shaped charge. Basically, big explosion missile type of weapon. Now, as you can see here on the hover over, its penetration is 528 with 459 damage. Now that is a lot. That is what you want to be firing at a heavy tank, because that is going to do a lot of damage, generally speaking, which coming from a light tank is pretty good. Now, the other thing to bear in mind with ATGMs, firstly, you have to stop before you can fire an ATGM. Reason being, because they are guided, you have to stop and the tank has to activate its guidance system. Now what this means is that when you fire one of these rockets, you can use your cursor to guide it. Now generally what you want to be doing is hovering your cursor over the tank that you want to hit, and this will basically, you can follow your target with your reticle and guide the missile around terrain, potentially. It can be difficult when you first start, but it's something you'll get used to, and they are very good against heavily armoured targets. They can be good against lighter armoured targets as well, but they're generally harder to hit if they're moving quickly. So hopefully those brief descriptions will help, and if you haven't used ATGMs yet, hopefully this will give you an idea of, you can't just fire like you would a normal round or a normal cannon. You can guide it with your cursor, which I'm aware some people didn't know about for a few rounds, and they were wondering why their missiles seemed ineffective. So let's take a look at some in-game footage, and I'll try to explain how to best use light tanks, and also about the spotting mechanics and how you can use that to your advantage, and also be aware of when you're spotted, because that plays a big part in staying alive in one of these vehicles. Now what's going on here is I'm in the VFM Merc Edition light tank, and we're basically going to get into position to spot along this road that a lot of the main battle tanks tend to come down. Now my friend Xander stops round at the back there, I move here, reason being all these bushes down this stretch here offer multiple levels of cover for me. So because I'm basically behind several bushes, it's harder for the enemy to see me. Now there's a lot of MBTs down the end of this road for the enemy. Their spotting is nowhere near as good as mine, so provided I don't move and I don't fire, I maintain the maximum camo value for this tank, plus whatever the foliage is providing me with. Now if I was to fire, I would lose those bonuses, it would give my position away, and they would probably all open fire and destroy me. So I decide I'm going to sit here for a while, because as you can see I'm spotting several of these tanks down there. The eye icon above them means that I am spotting them. It also comes up in orange above your mini map that you have spotted these vehicles. So I figure, you know what, I'm going to sit here and I'm going to spot. Reason being is A, our team know where people are, other people can fire at them, I get a bonus from that. Any damage done to these guys while I'm spotting them, I will get spotting assistance damage. The other thing as well to bear in mind is that spotting can be used as a deterrent in itself. If you're spotting enemy tanks, they may think, you know what, I'm not going to go around there because I just keep getting spotted and I can't see what's spotting me. That in itself can be enough to make an enemy think twice. Now, what I did do there is I fired. I knew I'd get spotted. I dropped a smoke grenade. One of the shots did connect with me, but that was a risk I was willing to take because our guys have come around behind them and engaged the enemy, which means they've now had to split off and their focus is divided. It's not on me down this end. So now, okay, I'm going to go assist my friends. Let's go shoot these guys in the back. There's one kill. It's a little bit of a kill steal, but come on, I was spotting for these guys. I deserve a little bit of reward for this. Let's come around the back of these guys. They're all fighting my other guys that on the team that have engaged. So I'm going to sit here and help. Incoming artillery shots. Keep moving. Dodge both artillery shells. It's always a bonus. Getting hit by artillery in a light tank is not good in the slightest. It will do a lot of damage, take out a lot of modules, and that's something you really don't need. So here we are using our excess speed to go past all the MBTs, try and get, you know, some spots and some damage off. As you can see, I've already used my speed boost to try and get there a bit quicker. I've still got plenty of our team left, but if I can spot for them, like I say, I get a bonus. It's better for them if we've got position on the enemy. That's how you win games. Spotting can be key to victories, because if you know where the enemy are, you can shoot them. If they don't know where you are, they can't shoot back. So it's always a good thing to have. As you can see, look, I'm quite happy to just come up behind this guy, pop a shell into the back of him. Let's continue around here. Always moving with a light tank where you can. I mean, if you're static spotting where you're not moving, obviously that's a little bit different, but you can see down in the bottom my camo value is still pretty good, moving at a reasonable speed. And in a light tank, that's really what you want to be doing. You want to be moving around, repositioning, making yourself a hard target. You know, sitting still is not advisable. And there we go, that guy's dead. Now let's have a look at keeping yourself alive from being spotted and the use of these light tank guns. Now, as you can see here, we're prowling through this city looking for some unsuspecting targets with our accurate rapid firing gun. Now we're spotted, looking for targets. Oh, there's a guy up there quite far away. Reticule settled, good accuracy, shoot him clear in the side. However, in doing so, reveals us, gets rid of our camo value, so we're spotted again. So we back up into the city to try and avoid getting shot from out in the open. Now there's a heavy tank around here. Now for heavier vehicles with these lighter tanks, you need to try and get them in the side or the back. As you can see here, the accuracy pays off. Through all that rubble, let it settle, then fire. We do damage. Now that was quite a hard shot to make, but don't rush your shots. Let the aiming reticule settle. That one bounces off. He's angled his armor slightly. You watch the ricochet go off into the air, and we do no damage. Oh look, we spotted another guy. He takes a shot at us and misses. We take a shot back and don't miss. Now, like I say, these things are pretty quick, even in reverse. Use that to your advantage. Try and stay out of trouble. We're still on full health. We're doing damage to everyone around us, and that's really what you want to be doing. Try and take a shot on his turret there. Bounces off again. So let's move and re-engage. This is really what you want to be doing. Don't sit in one place. Make you move. Take a shot. Reposition. Oh look, there we go. We get shot from the back, but we take this guy out by shooting him in the back. Keep moving. Don't sit around and wait to be shot. We're still spotted. keep on the move, reposition. That is the key with these smaller, lighter tanks, is to keep moving, reposition so that the enemy have to keep guessing where you are. You do have smoke grenades on some of these tanks, use them when you need to. Look at this. Sadly, we've got a shot on him, but we only do module damage. But that's okay. Now we're spotted. He's trying to get away. Again, module damage. Not doing a lot to that guy. And this battle gets a bit furious. We're spotting people on the right. There's people firing towards us. And it all gets a little bit hectic. But just take your time. We can't get a shot on that guy. We're not going to do any frontal damage to him. Although we're spotting him and him. Can we get a shot? No. And of course, in firing, again, we're spotted. And that's what you always need to bear in mind. If you're going to take a shot, be ready to move as soon as you make that shot. Don't wait for the spotting icon, because there is a delay. You're spotted before that icon comes up. When you get spotted, there's a delay before that icon is available to you. So don't assume that you're not spotted if that symbol isn't there. Always assume that if you fire, you're going to get spotted. So here we go, trying to get a shot, fire, move. And now back it up after we fired because we got spotted. However, I don't do a particularly good job here, and I take some damage from that guy because I hit that rock. I didn't back up far enough, but the spotting symbol's gone. Try and take another shot, fire, there we go, spotted again. Again, didn't reposition, and this is exactly what I'm on about, is if you fire, move as soon as you do, because you're probably going to get yourself spotted and you don't want to be taking incoming fire. If you can, shoot on the move, but that's a lot less accurate. So here we go, shots on that guy up there, and now we're far enough back that we're not getting spotted by these guys. So we can sit here and use our accuracy to our benefit. These guns are accurate even at long range, so use that to your advantage. Here we go, look, and he's back up, someone else is spotting for us. No penetration, but we're not being spotted when we fire. Map awareness is also another thing to bear in mind. I mean, we track that guy so he can't move, but keep an eye on your mini-map. Be aware of your surroundings. Be aware if you're about to get an enemy come up behind you or from the side that could potentially spot you if you fire, because you need to be aware of when you need to move, where you need to move. Now I've switched rounds here to high explosives. This is going to do module damage to him, probably keep him tracked, take out his modules. It's doing very little damage, but it kept him in that place for that guy to come up behind him and kill him. And that's what it's all about, is the teamwork. Even if you can't do alpha damage with AP rounds, spot for your team, be a nuisance, always be on the move and re-engage with these light tanks. Don't sit around waiting to be shot, because you will be, and you won't last very long. Like I say, if you need to switch ammo types, HE is always a good way to be a nuisance. Keep people tracked and engaged long enough for your teammates to converge and do something about it. Now we've moved around again, trying to find some targets, and here we go. Let's take a shot at the side of this guy. We do some module damage and some actual damage. He's got some backup, and we're not spotted. There we go, another shot into that guy. Try and engage at long range when the game's at a late stage like this. As you can see, there's only me and my platoon mate left against 3 of them. We do not want to be engaging in a head-on fight with these guys. I'm on low hit points. Xander's not doing particularly great either. We are in light tanks, so we don't want to be in a situation where we're in a face-to-face fight with these guys, because we will probably lose. So everything that we've covered up to this point: relocate, use your speed, use your spotting range against them. MBTs do not have as good spotting range as light tanks, so the chances are we can spot them before they spot us. As you can see, I've spotted that guy. I used my speed boost probably the wrong time going down that hill, but he didn't spot me back. So I'm going to pop up here and see if I can find out where he is. There we go, and he's got his side straight to me. Pop one in, spotted, but as you can see, I fired, I reversed straight up before I got spotted, before he's had time to turn his turret and fire back. And that is what you want to be doing. Spot him again, but we're far enough away he can't re-spot us. One of their guys has gone down. There's only that guy left, so now it's 2 against 1. I believe at this point one of their guys crashed. Xander killed the other guy that was going back for him. Now we've got this heavily armoured guy in a chieftain left to deal with a couple of light tanks. Now, like I say, a frontal assault on that guy would be ridiculous. We would die, because we're going to struggle to penetrate his frontal or his turret armour. So we need to get the sides of him, and this is where you need to work as a team. Obviously, we have the advantage of being platoon mates, and we were on voice comms, so we decide to go either side of him. We know where he is. He's on our base capping, which is probably the worst place he could have been, because we know for certain where he is. He's somewhere in our camp circle. Now we're fast enough to go around the edges and engage him from both sides, which is what you want to be doing. Here we go, spotted, and let's get a shot on his side. Move. But he didn't spot us, so I'll stick around here for a little bit longer and keep him spotted for my friend, and see what we can do. However, he knows that the shot came from over here, so he's got himself behind some cover. It's a good move. Get in cover and try and make us come to him, and that is a pretty clever tactic. However, I think he already knows his number's up. He knows he can't spot us if we stay this far away, and he's gonna just take a few pot shots and guessing where I'm firing from. But effectively, this is how you want to use these vehicles. Stay at range, don't frontally engage anything, reposition when you do fire, and work as a team. The guns are pretty good if you can get the shots in. Take your time to aim, don't rush. Use your speed boost when you need to get out of dodge. You've also got smoke grenades on some of the tanks. If you do, great. Drop a smoke grenade if you think you can get spotted. If you've got a lot of tanks in the vicinity and you fire and you're likely to get spotted, drop a smoke grenade as soon as you fire. Back up, get out of there. Never stick around. Always use your speed. Just be aware. As you can see here, we've moved around to try and get another shot. There we go. Still not spotted, so I can sit here, and this guy, there's nothing he can do against 2 of us. And there we go, victory secured. He was never going to win that though, was he? So I hope this has helped you guys understand a little bit more about light tanks, the spotting mechanics and the ammo types within armoured warfare. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments below, and I'll be sure to help you guys out where I can. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.